Let's face it, there's so many businesses and brands out there nowadays. There's billions of TikTok accounts, billions of Instagram accounts, and so how do you stand out? That is what I'm breaking down in this video, and I'm going to really show you how you can differentiate your brand even amongst all the competition and still achieve your goals. So let's dive in. First and foremost, you need to know what you stand for. Because like I mentioned, there's so many businesses and other brands out there, you need to hold true to your business why, your purpose, your vision, and your mission, so that way you can make business decisions and strategies based on that versus just trying to figure out what everyone else is doing or just being wishy-washy about it. So know what you stand for. Take a second to think about your why. Why are you starting this business? Why is it a goal of yours to stand out and differentiate yourself and be successful? What is your business vision? What is your mission? And to give you an example, at Recloseted, we are the first one-stop consulting agency for sustainable fashion brands, and I started it because I had a really strong why around helping to transform the harmful fashion industry. When I found out about the fashion industry, I was shocked and I was really devastated about the fact that back then, not a lot of people were talking about it. And so I put it upon myself to do something that could actually benefit the industry, and that was my why that really propelled me. And I knew, and I still know, that that is what I stand for. So everything I do centers back into my why. So know what you stand for, because once you know internally what makes you different, what makes you tick, then you can really communicate that to your community and also to your customers. But without knowing what you stand for, it's hard to be differentiated. So this is step one. The next thing you're going to do to differentiate your brand and help you stand out is to put your customers first. This is so important because your customers at the end of the day are the ones that are going to be paying you, buying your products, and so your business needs to revolve around them. Not around you and your feelings or whatever else, but it needs to be revolved around your customer. And so first and foremost, if you don't know who your ideal customer is or you don't know who your target customer is, figure that out. If you're a startup brand or a small business, I especially recommend you to niche down. You've probably heard that term before, but essentially it just means get as specific as possible. Don't think of this as leaving money on the table, but instead think of it as being able to laser focus on who your business is trying to help and support and serve. And then that way, because you likely have limited time, limited resources, limited budget, and all that other stuff, you can devote it all to that one person, laser focus it to them like I mentioned, and they will feel like your messaging, your products, and your business in general is exactly for them, and they'll buy. Versus if you're super wishy-washy and you try to appeal to everyone under the sun, then nothing's really going to stick. It's going to feel really generic, it's going to feel really mass, and you're just not going to be differentiated. You're just going to be lumped in with all the other clothing brands under the sun, and that's not good. So we want to put them first. So take a second now to figure out who your ideal customer is going to be if you haven't already done this, and get as specific as possible, like I mentioned. As an example, I once had a client that was really focused around helping new moms because she was a recent new mom and she felt like there wasn't a lot of conscious fashion brands for this demographic. It wasn't very stylish, it wasn't very functional, and of course it wasn't very conscious. So she took it upon herself to start her own business revolved around this demographic, and lo and behold, it did really well because she was so specific about her niche and she was really able to be specific about her targeting. So once you figured out your ideal customer, put them first, like I mentioned. So really think about how you can help them, how you can solve pain points, how you can solve problems. I've talked about the customer first approach many times on this channel and also on our Recloseted Radio podcast. So if you haven't heard of it before, I encourage you to check out some of my other content so you can deep dive into that. But high level, you need to figure out what your customers are struggling with, what challenges they have, and then build a product to help solve that. That's how you're going to have massive amounts of sales and also have your brand and your company in general stand out, because then you actually create a product that people actually need, which further will differentiate you. So make the product really specific to your ideal customer, but also make your marketing and your copy and everything you do super specific to them as well. That will help you stand out. Next step to differentiate your brand is to have really high quality products. I know that this goes without saying, but it is honestly easier said than done. If you think about it, your products are what is driving sales and revenue to your business, so they can make or break your business. In other words, this is super important. And once you have really figured out who your target customer is and you put them first, then you want to make sure your products solve a problem or a pain point for your ideal customer. I've talked about this over and over again on this channel, so I will not go into this again, but you need to have really great products. So make sure you invest in them. Pick really high quality, innovative materials, invest in your manufacturing so that you know your products will hold up and your customers can wear them time and time again, and just really make sure you invest in your products. At the end of the day, you must invest in your products so that they are as high quality as possible. Like I mentioned, your products are bringing you sales, which brings you revenue, and so you cannot succeed in your business if your products aren't good and they're not top-notch and they're not differentiated. And as you're watching this video, if you want to start a fashion brand but you have no idea how much to invest and you're anxious about costs and you think this is sounding expensive, then I want to invite you to my free Fund Your Fashion Line training. In this 30-minute training, I will walk you through what you should be spending your money on and what you should not, exactly how much it's going to cost you to build this brand, and last but not least, how you're going to get the funding you need to successfully start and launch it. And so you can visit recloseted.com/budget or click the link down below in our description or the comments to be able to attend. This training is absolutely free and I'm so excited for you to go in and watch it. So go to recloseted.com/budget or click the link in the description to be able to attend. But make sure you invest in your products, and my training will break down exactly how much that's going to cost you and how you're going to get the funding to do that, especially if you're just starting from scratch. The next thing you want to do to differentiate your brand is to figure out what your sustainability and what your social responsibility pillars and strategy looks like. And this is important because, like I mentioned, there are so many brands out there, and there's so many brands that are not doing great things. They're greenwashing, they're not walking the walk. And so for you to succeed, I really do think you should figure out what's going to differentiate your brand. So don't cut corners here. It is really important if you want to build a long-lasting, successful business and future-proof your brand that you get to figure out what your sustainability priorities are, what the strategy is, what your brand's doing about everything that's going on in the world in regards to climate change, social justice issues, ethics, all this stuff. And I don't want to overwhelm you because as a small business or even as a startup, it can be very overwhelming, but I think it is important to at least start to think about it. I've done a couple of videos on this, so I will link them, but basically you want to start to think about it because this will differentiate your business. And like I mentioned, once you have solidified what your sustainability priorities are, what your brand really stands for, then you want to stick to it. You want to really walk the walk and hold true to your values and don't cut corners. A really good example of this is one of our past clients. Her name is Natalie. She's the founder of Ohala, and she was on my Recloseted Radio podcast. I interviewed her, and it was a video interview, so if you want to watch it, we will link it for you. But in that interview, she really broke down how at so many instances she could have cut corners. She could have used cheaper materials. She could have not done as many patterns to ensure that the fit was perfect. She could have not manufactured in LA. There's so many things she could have done, but she did not want to compromise on the integrity of the products and of what she was putting out with her business. And that's what differentiates her from other fast fashion brands or just other fashion brands in general, because it is expensive. It does take more time, but you know what? It's worth it because that is how you differentiate yourself. And if you want to differentiate your brand, it does take time. There's no such thing as overnight success. And if you truly want your brand to withstand the test of time, be different, stand for something, then you need to be consistent over time. That's really how you are going to be successful. You need to consistently stick to your vision and your mission. Really ensure that you're always putting your customers first. You're not going to cut corners with your products. It's always going to be high quality. You're also really going to stick by your sustainability priorities, your strategy, and also your ethics. And you're just going to stay true to yourself. And that compounds over time, but it does take time. There's no such thing as overnight success. And I just wanted to put this in here as well because a lot of the times we'll look at other brands and other businesses that are a little bit further on than we are and compare ourselves, and then we will give up or stop trying or procrastinate or all those other things. So I just wanted to say it does take time. And after watching this video, if you're really excited about starting and launching your very own sustainable fashion brand this year and you want my help, then check out the free Fund Your Fashion Line training. I know that finances and funding and just money in general can be really anxiety provoking and people can stress out about it. And it's one of the top reasons people don't start a brand. So I wanted to make something that would be accessible for everyone. This funding is jam-packed. I don't sell you anything. There's no BS. There's no fluff. So make sure you check it out. The link again is wecloseted.com/budget. I am so excited for you to go through this training and I hope that this video was helpful for you.